Dear children, as I told you that before I start the poem, I would like to tell you something about the background setting of the poem. You need to know all these things because you need to understand the theme of the poem, what the poet intends to say through this poem and why she has written such a poem. Poet or poetess, as you say, Maya Angelou. Now, I don't know whether you have heard about African Americans. They were actually the Black Americans or Afro Americans, as we say. They are an ethnic group of Americans with, or so to say, having their total or partial ancestry. Their ancestors were from the black racial groups of Africa. This particular phrase, African American, it generally refers to the descendants, those who came down from descendants of enslaved black people or black people who were taken as slaves from Africa to America when America was colonized by the British. They were actually from the United States, and some of them they were brought from Africa. This poetess Maya Angelou, whose full name was Margaret Annie Johnson. Margaret spelling is something different. If you want to write Marguerite. Margaret. Marguerite. Annie. 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 Johnson. Johnsson. She was born in the month of April anyway, in 1928. She was an American poet, a singer, memoirist. Overall, she was a civil rights activist. She passed away recently in 2014. Anyway, Maya Angelou is the first African American woman to have her screenplay produced for the film. And through her, most of the writings of Maya Angelou has a shade of her autobiography, because in her childhood she had spent a very disturbed life, lot of lot of disturbances she had faced, and gradually she became recognized, and then she was highly respected as a spokesperson for the black people and for women. She is well known for being a feminist, spoke for the woman, or so to say, spoke for the women. And also she stood up for the black people. So she is known as the America's most visible black woman autobiographer. And the poem that she has written, which is prescribed in your course, Still I Rise, it is a focus on hopeful determination. She is very much hopeful and she is very much determined to rise above difficulty and all sort of discouragement. Despite every discouragement imposed or placed in front of her. She is discouraged in different ways. As she says through this poem, she is firmly determined to rise above all the difficulties that will come on her way. So this poem is said to be an empowering poem. This poem, Still I Rise, it is a poem about the struggle to overcome all sort of prejudices, all sort of discriminations, and every injustice that is imposed on, here as it is mentioned, on the black ones. It is one of Maya Angelou's most popular poems. When those who were the victims of discrimination between black and white, which was very, in vogue at the time, many people suffered from this discrimination against which Abraham Lincoln also stood. When this poem was read by the victims of that racism, those who had faced the injustice, those who were the victims of the wrongdoing, this poem becomes a kind of anthem for them, a kind of encouragement for them, a kind of, it's a ray of hope for them, for the oppressed ones, for the tortured ones, for the downtrodden ones, the victims. It reminds us, the poem, if we read, we'll find that it reminds us of the misuse of power. Power, when a man gets power, if he uses it in a right way, it's okay. But if it is wrongly used, especially those who sit in the government, those who sit in a high profile, with high profile positions, you say the government, the judiciary, the military, and the police force, if they misuse their power, it is, many people are going to be victimized. So this poem gives us a clear message, a repeated message of not losing the hope, whatever the circumstances may be. There must always be the hope that one should cling to. It's a little wonder, it is so highly appreciated a poem. The message is so loud and clear that no matter the cruelty imposed on people, regardless of every method and circumstance that the victims face, the victims will rise up and slavery will overcome all sort of misfortune and adversities. That is why there's no wonder that, Nelson Mandela, he read this poem at his inauguration in 1994, when he had already spent 27 years in prison. He had read out this poem, thinking that it is, or concluding that this poem is a sort of anthem for these oppressed people. Although this poem is written with black, or so to say, racism and feminism and slavery and civil rights in mind, these issues are in mind when the poetess had written this poem. Yet, it can be said, this poem is universal in its appeal. Any innocent individual, any minority, any nation, any person who is subject to abuse or misuse of power, who is a victim to the misuse of power, any person who is subject to any sort of torture, oppression, injustice, can understand this theme of the poem. Don't give in or don't surrender to torture. Don't surrender to humiliation. Don't yield or surrender to injustice. Still I Rise, which was composed in 1978. And as I gave a long introduction to the poem, you can understand that the poem is a criticism on anti-black racism. The poem is focused on how one responds to injustice. If injustice, there are people, when you face injustice or when a man faces injustice, some are there who remain quiet, silent, some are they aggressively, they respond back, react in a very violent manner, and some take it very lightly and reply to it in a very cool manner, criticizing the persons. That is what is through words she has done it. She has, as that is why it is said that pen is mightier than sword. She has not been very violent, but through her words it is very clear in the poem that she has stood very strongly against this discrimination. So the poem is about one's own self-respect and confidence. The poetess, or Maya Angelou, she reveals how she is ready to overcome everything through her maintaining her self-esteem or regard, honor. She shows through the words that nothing can get her down. On every occasion, she will rise. Not even her skin color, nothing, not even her skin color will hold her back to stand up. So in this poem, you'll find the poem is written in a mood, or there is a mixture of tones of the poet. She is very playful, she is very challenging, defiant, in a very comical way, humorous manner. She is also sometimes angry. She has expressed her bitterness. And she is also very much self-assured and confident, hopeful. So keeping aside her own social inferiority, that is she herself being an African American, as I told you, the poet says, or she tells, that whatever may be the level of injustice, there are people like her who will rise from the tyrannical circumstances and change the nature and course of the society for a better tomorrow. So the poem is about the eternal fight of a woman as well as of the slavery of humanity. It encourages everyone who cared not to give up. So it's a long introduction I have given about the poem. And about the poet, it's written in your poem, you see, Maya Angelou. It's written on page number 13. You can read it yourself. About the poet, may I read it? Maya Angelou, 1928 to 2014, was born in St. Louis, Missouri, United States of America. She is an author, a poet, historian, songwriter, playwright, dancer, stage and screen producer, director, performer, singer, and civil rights activist. Versatile genius. Maya Angelou remains one of the most influential African American voices of her country. Best known for her poetry, Angelou's most famous works include I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. You know, this poem is in your ICC course at present. Just give me a cool drink of water for I die. Gather together in my name, the heart of a woman, All God's children need traveling shoes. Mom and me and mom. And letter to my daughter. This is what is given about the poet. Before I start explaining the poem, I'll read the poem for you once. Please listen to it and try to understand, if anything you can understand. Still I rise. The poem. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I have got all wells pumping in my living room. Just like the moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I have got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like air, I'll rise. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I'm the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. What did you understand from the poem? Something? Just I rise, I rise, I rise. Yes, I rise. That is the call for strength. The word rise itself creates a hope in the mind of the reader or the listener. Now, again, before I explain the poem, let me talk about the form and structure of the poem. The poem actually is a lyric. It includes 43 lines in total, made up of 7 quatrains. Quatrain, a quatrain, Quatrain. A quatrain is a verse or a stanza of 4 lines. This poem in original has 7 quatrains, whereas in your book you can check it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quatrains are there. As I told you in the beginning, there is one stanza not taken from the original manuscript. The reason whatever may be. So this poem includes actually of 43 lines made up of 7 quatrains and 2 end stanzas which help reinforce the theme of individual hope. It reinforces with the phrase, the repetition of the phrase, I rise, being repeated as if a hymn is being chanted. Mantra, as I say, mantra is being chanted. In the fashion of that hymn, in the fashion of a mantra, it is repeated. I rise, I rise, I rise. So, you can write the form and structure of the poem, that the poem is a lyric written in 6 quatrains, or you can write 7 quatrains, which is followed by 2 end stanzas in which the word rise is I rise. The phrase I rise has been used as a refrain. REFRAIN, refrain. A refrain is a repetition of a phrase or a sentence at the end of every stanza of a poem, or at the beginning of every stanza of a poem, which is repeated, is called a refrain. So, and you can find out the rhyme scheme yourself. It is A, B, C, B. If you find it changes, actually it changes. It continues up to the last two stanzas where the scheme changes from A, B, C, B to A, B, C, C. A, B, C, C you can find. And then finally to A, A, B, B. So that is, there is a change. Actually, the change also has change in the rhyme scheme also has some purpose for the poem, for the poet. The poet had some purpose in changing the rhyme scheme of the poem. There is a flow. Rhyme scheme creates a rhythm or gives a rhythm to the poem, and there is a flow of rhythm, change in rhythm of the poem also. So it starts with A, B, C, B, which brings the stanza together. And finally it continues up to the last two stanzas when the scheme changes from A, B, C, B to A, B, C, C, and finally to A, A, B, B. And finally it gives a very solid ending to this piece of poetry. So it is the stanza 6 which you can find, which brings an oppressive issue to the climax. It brings the poem to a climax. You can shoot me, you can cut me, you can kill me. These words are used purposefully to emphasize the aggression of torture. That they can even shoot the victim, they can cut, they can kill. But this aggression of the torturer is of no use because the oppressed, the victim, finally says that she will rise. She will rise like the dust. First rising is compared to the rise of dust, referring to the earth, next to the rise of the air. So she will rise like air, which an element, air which is an element which you can neither shoot, which you can neither cut nor you can kill it. So these, like the high tides, like the dust, she will rise. So like the rising of the moons and the suns, which are inevitable, which are unstoppable. Rising of moon, rising of sun, they are unstoppable. Rising of the tides, they are unstoppable. You cannot stop those things. Similarly, she says, though you oppress me as a woman or as a black, I will. So she is not only a woman, she is not only a black person here. She stands for all the victims of oppression. Anyone can show me any sort of injustice, but I will rise. That shows the firm determination and hope that if I rise, finally I will overcome all the problems, all the difficulties, all the hardships that comes on my path. This is what the poem is about. Okay, come to the first stanza. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may write. You referring to the oppressors, those who have been oppressing, torturing, putting the black people in misery. Those who wants, he says, you may write me down in history. So this history tells us about the ancestors, is decades and centuries of oppression and mistreatment has been given to these people, to these African Americans. So they have those who are tortured, they have also been mentioned in history. About them, maybe wrong things are mentioned. Me referring to a black woman or other living black women, also her black ancestors. So she says, you may write, you can write, while oppressors of black persons, they may write anything, any sort of bitter, hurting, hurtful, twisted, warped, given a different shape of the truth, and given the shape of a lie. So you can write anything. So the first itself, she is telling about the writing part, that the history part, the history. In history, what is mentioned about the black ones? Maybe many negative things, many twisted lies, many bitter lies has been written about them. It reminds us of the terrible racism of the past. But those who want to liberate the black, they must first liberate their minds and thoughts. So you can write about us. You can write about us with your bitter, with your hurtful, with your enduring, twisted or warped lies. Anything you can write. You can tread me, trod me. Trod is the past tense of tread. Walk over me. You can walk over me. So you have the ability to shape how history will remember me with your lies. You can give a shape to the history, writing about us, writing about the black people with all your lies. So the poem doesn't begin with any physical oppression. OPPRESSION, oppression I'm talking about. But on the way, the wrong kinds of writing that can imprison the minds of both the oppressed and the oppressed. Writing, if suppose I read a good story, my mind gets filled with good things. But if I keep on reading about some people, about whom many wrong, or so to say, many things are written, negative things are written. So what will happen? I'll create a very negative picture of that person will be created in my mind. So she wants to say that about the black people, those who are oppressors, you have the ability to shape the history even, remembering me with your lies. You can do that. You can walk over me in the very dirt. See the metaphor. Dirt refers to dust. But the metaphorical meaning is also there. Metaphorical meaning refers to dirt here, refers to the treatment with enormous disrespect and shocking violence, as we can say. So suppose we crush something with your legs in the dirt. We say we totally erase its entity. So you can crush me in the dust. You can crush me in the dirt itself. So dirt is crushing in the dirt, and metaphorically it tells us about the enormous disrespect that you can show me. But still, yet, in spite of being lied about with a lot of hurtful words, in spite of being trodden over, in spite of being crushed in the dirt, but like the dust, see the simile, like the dust I will rise. Nobody can stop me from rising. I'll rise means I will rise my head up and stand strongly. Nobody can put me down. I will, even after you crush me in the dust, from the dust I will rise. From the dust I will rise, from the earth I will rise and stand again with my own entity. You cannot crush me, you cannot lie about me, you cannot lie, and you cannot completely erase my entity with your lies and with your crushing, with your powerful crushing. You cannot do that. You will fail, because after everything I will rise. This is what in the first stanza, and you see the rhyme scheme: history A, lies B, dirt C, rise B. A, B, C, B. Many things are there which you need not know. Means there is not necessity. It's not necessary. I don't think the school teacher will also. Many things are there. Leave it, those things. Come to the second stanza. Does my sassiness upset you? Sassiness, which is a very bold and cheeky attitude. Cheeky, since speaking straightforward on the face requires a boldness, and that is sometimes taken as very rude manner. So she says that she has that courage to speak directly on the face, outrightly on the face of some person, very boldly. Despite the ways that African Americans were suppressed, their rights were snatched away from them. As a woman, she has stood up and has spoken. So her attitude may have upset, may have insulted the oppressors because she has risen against them. So that she puts a question. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom, filled? Why are you filled with despair, gloom, sadness, despair, dejection? Why are you looking so miserable? Why are you looking so dejected? Is it because I walk like I have got oil wells pumping in my living room? No one is going to have the oil wells pumping in their living room. But it has a metaphorical meaning. Now these oil wells, those who have oil wells or those who have business in oil production, they are very wealthy, they are very rich, they are very powerful. So she says that she walks very confidently as if she is very rich, as if she is very powerful, as if she has the oil wells digging in her living room straight. One who enters into the living room can see that what she is. So she walks in that manner. She lives in that manner. She possesses herself, or she poses in this society, maintaining herself in that way. And maybe that has made, suppose a person is torturing me and I don't feel tortured. What will be the feelings of the torturer? The person will feel insulted. So she says that you torture us, you oppress us, but despite all the oppressions, despite all the challenges, I have maintained my stature, I have maintained my position, I have maintained myself, and I have risen up after being crushed, and walk in such a manner as I have all the power in my hand, and I speak outrightly on the face. Is it that my bold and cheeky attitude leaves you in despair, hopelessness? Are you becoming hopeless, seeing me hopeful? That she wants to say in the second stanza. The second stanza also has the same rhyme pattern, A, B, C, B. If you can find it, the last words of every line, you will find the rhyme pattern. So this is what she wants to tell in second stanza. Third stanza. Just like moons and like suns. Figures of speech are there that I'll discuss later. Like, use of like immediately reminds us of simile. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. So here the comparison is with the inevitable, unstoppable rising of the moons and the suns, and the heavenly bodies are mentioned. That rising of sun, setting of sun, rising of the moon, rising of high tide, ebb tide, low tide. These things are natural occurrences. No man can stop them. It is inevitable. It cannot be avoided. It will happen. So just as the inevitable rises or rising of the sun and the moon, Ocean tides rising cannot be stopped. Even a man's, similarly, she says, similarly, when a person's hope starts rising, when she or he becomes very hopeful, optimistic of everything that happens around her, around a person, no one can stop that person's rising, because the person's or the particular person's rising depends on or is caused due to his or her strong willpower. No one can stop a man's determination or willpower. Where there's a will, there's a way. So it's a metaphor, or sorry, it's a simile where the or so to say the unstoppable rise, inevitable rise of the heavenly bodies like sun and moon in the sky, and it is certain, the certainty of tides, with the certainty of tides, it is certain that the tides will be rising. Just like hopes springing high or rising high, still I'll rise. So it is a reminder that her will is stronger than the control that is exerted upon her. No, or so to say, nothing can stop her. No restrictions, no bars, no obstacles can stop her from rising high. High what? Rising, she'll rise high above all the obstacles or obstructions that will come on her path. So it is just a strong willpower that she shows in this particular stanza. So like the moons and the suns and the tides, like a hope, when a man starts coming up with his hopes, no one can break that. So everything depends on a man's willpower, and she has shown this willpower. She has shown her confidence, her strong determination of rising above every obstacles in this particular stanza, showing that she wants that she wants to come above or rise above everything. Again she puts this question, do you want to see me broken? Come to the fourth stanza. So this poem is very clear from the very, you reach the third stanza. It is clearly, it clearly shows that the poem is about Angelo's self-respect and confidence. She reveals how she will overcome anything through her self-esteem. She shows that nothing can get her down. She will rise to any occasion. Not even her skin color will hold her back. Now, the slavery had long been abolished. But Angelo saw its effects on society and the African American people. And the poem is a declaration that she would not allow that hatefulness of society to determine her own success. So this is not only a proclamation of her own determination to rise above society, but it was also a call to others. She even invited others, called others to live above the society in which they have been or they were brought up. The fourth stanza, did you want to see broken? So the speaker's question in this stanza is very directly and very boldly And it's clear that she is accusing. So, accusing the oppressor, that the oppressor wanted to see her broken. Broken in the sense sad, dejected, broken at heart. Is it that you expected to see me broken? And that, just as in the second stanza, she had asked the question, does my sassiness upset you? Maybe the oppressor did not expect that the girl will be so, girl here representing the woman, overall the woman or woman in whole, women, also to the black race. So now that she is not broken hearted, she has risen high, or she is rising. She has gathered all her courage, her willpower, her determination, and she has stood straight with her head held high. Maybe seeing this, she feels that was below the expectation of the oppressor. So she says, do you want to see me broken? Did you want to see me broken? And not seeing me broken, are you getting upset? With bowed head and lowered eyes. Lowered eyes looking down, submission, sign of submissiveness. A very submissive posture, head down, looks down. Instead of bowing my head down, I'm looking up at you. Did you not expect this of me? Did you expect something else? So did you expect me to have my submissive posture and stand in front of you? Shoulders falling down like teardrops. Simile. Just as drops of tears fall down, drop down. Similarly, my shoulders falling down, slouching down. Shoulders falling down, so sad that the shoulders. Did you expect that I'll be very sad and my shoulders drooping down or collapsing just as the tears fall? Did you expect that? Are you sad at seeing just the opposite, just the contrast of your expectation? Weakened, and did you expect that I would be weakened? My body will be weakened by my soulful cries coming out from my soul. Very sad, sorrowful cries. So you expected that I'll be intensely sobbing, broken down, bowed head, lowered eyes, very sad, dejected. Maybe you expected to see me all these things. With these questions, she gives us a very clear picture that she knows that her own success is received with bitterness. That she has become successful, that is received with bitterness by the racist people in her society. So she directs these questions at that society that has long tried to keep her oppressed, keep her submissive. She asks them if they wanted to see her broken, if they wanted to see her oppressed, depressed, bitter. She asks these questions to know that this indeed is what many in society wanted. They did not want to see that a black woman rising up out of the oppression of a society and succeed in her life. Nobody, maybe. No one expected. At least the white community, white race people won't be expecting that. So speaker knows all these things and she draws attention with these words. with these very cutting questions, the question that will pricking questions. The question itself shows that what was the limitless torture that the black women had faced. Not only physical but mentally, they were completely suppressed. Through these questions, she makes it clear. So she puts that question very directly on the face. Did you want to see me broken? Did you want to see me, my head bowed down and looks down with submissive posture, shoulders falling down, and I'll be weakened by my sad cries? Did you expect that of me? Stanza 5. Does my haughtiness offend you? So she continues from the fourth stanza that she had asked the questions. It continues in the fifth stanza, and she continues with the question, and the questions are directed to the racist society. What question does she ask? Whether her haughtiness, her pride is offensive. Is it creating or is it making them feel insulted? Her pride, her disdain. Is it making them feel insulted? She knows it very well that the society doesn't want to see a black woman full of pride. So this question has a criticism which serves to which indicates the hypocrisy in the society. Because when a person is successful, the society on the face, they praise. But actually, they get a embittered feeling. Especially those who want to oppress the others, these oppressors, they have a very bitter feeling in them. So she asked them, is it that my haughtiness offends you? Don't you take it awful hard. So the poet continues. The poet continues in a very sarcastic tone, in a very criticizing tone, as if she pretends to comfort. She is speaking to the oppressor as if to console the oppressor, to comfort the oppressor, telling that don't take it in a very awful hard, means don't feel very upset. Don't have a very hard feeling. Don't feel upset. Don't feel upset cause I laugh like I have got gold mines digging in my own backyard. Again, another feeling of power, another picture of wealth and power. So don't feel very upset because I laugh. Just as earlier she had told, I walk as if I have the oil wells in my living room. Similarly, here she says, I laugh as if I have got the gold mines. As if I have got the gold mines digging in my own backyard, as if I have tremendous amount of wealth. So the gold mines here is not only the wealth. She wants to that she has the gold mines in her spirit also. So it is a feeling of confidence, it is a feeling of self-reliance. And happiness comes when a man is wealthy, he shows that, or he feels that he is happy. So she also feels as if she is laughing, like as if she has got the gold mines in her backyard. So she continues with the question in the previous stanza, that is in fifth stanza. And she also pretends as if she has a lot of sympathy, or she is trying to console the person, the oppressor, making him feel that he should not take it very hard, take it in a very other way, that she laughs like as if she has a gold mine which has been dug in her own backyard. That means she is the owner of a gold mine. So this stands as a sort of metaphor. Okay, come to the next stanza. You may shoot me with your words. How painful the words are of the oppressor for the oppressed. The words are so painful, as if the words are words are going to take the person's life. You may shoot. You may shoot me with your words. Words are like bullets. Metaphor. Words are like bullets. So, how painful it is to be oppressed with so hurtful words are that, as if it is going to take the life of the person. You may cut me with your eyes, even angry looks glare, glare, glare. Your eyes give such sharp glare, such angry looks. You may cut me. So sharp are your looks, so angry and sharp are your looks, as if those looks are going to cut me to pieces. That is also another picture of the oppressed people shown here. You may kill me with your hatefulness, with your hatred. You can kill me. So, the the feeling of hatred is so much for the in the white people, for the black ones, that the black feels as if they will be killed, or they were killed by their hatred. So these three words, the shooting, then cutting, then finally killing. So their lives, complete lives of the slaves or of the African Americans, were really a very, what to say, creates sympathy in the hearts of the uh, readers. The way that she presents. So all these things are directed towards the oppressor, the white people or the white races, those who look down upon the black ones. They're full of racism at the time. So you may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still remember, you can kill me, but like air I'll rise. So he's rising of air above the earth. Just like nobody can cut the air, nobody can shoot the air, nobody can kill the air. So I will rise like the air. I'll rise, you know what is a phoenix? After death, the bird rises out of its own ashes. It is a legendary bird. It rises from its own ashes. So just like the air, I will rise, because none can destroy air with the angry looks or with the bullets or the feeling of hatred. So you can just do whatever you like, but I will rise above everything. All these things, questions, and the statement that she is presenting is to incriminate the offender, make the offender feel that he is doing some, or he has done a crime. And along with that, what the poet has done, she has very smoothly shown or revealed her self-confidence in spite of the oppression of the society. This is what she says in the sixth stanza. Then comes to the next one. Out of the huts of history, shame I rise. In this stanza, in this line, the speaker finally refers to the past. Directly in this particular stanza, he has mentioned about the past. Out of the huts of history, shame. Huts refers to the small huts of slaves housing on the plantations in South Africa before the American Civil War. They were given very little space to survive, and they slept slept in huts that could hardly be called places to live. And that is obviously a shame for history. So she says, out of the huts of history's shame, metaphor. Or so to say, there is a personification also here. So she can ascend out of it, rise out above all these things. So all these shameful acts of slavery which history has shown to the world, she will not get depressed because of all those things. She will not get suppressed by all these things. Rather, she will rise above all these things. Out of the huts of history's shame. In fact, history has shown, the institution of slavery is really a scar. It's a blot, it is a mark, it is a scar on the American history. And it's really a matter of shame, a shameful memory. But out of that shameful memory, she says very confidently that she will rise. She will not be bowed down, she will not be suppressed, she will not feel ashamed that they were once, their race, black race, were once suppressed by the white ones. Why should they be ashamed of? She wants to say, those who have done it, they should be ashamed of that. So out of this, though it is a shameful blot on the history of America, from that or from those acts, shameful acts, I will rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I come out from where? I come out from that history which is rooted in pain, which gives, whenever one who goes through those lines of history, those moments of history, recall those moments of history, he or she will surely feel a pain for the oppressed one. And from those painful past, the deeply painful past, I have come out. I'm not going to stay there anymore. I have come out of that. I'm going to rise above it. So she calls slavery as history's shame. And she proclaims it, she declares that she will not be held down by the past. Even that past is rooted in deep pain. There's a deep agony. But she will not be held down. Rather, she has risen up and she will rise up. She has risen up and next generations will also come out of this painful past, shameful pasts of historical acts. The final stanza. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide. I'm a black ocean. I'm as vast and as full of power as an ocean is. So ocean. At the same time, I'm a black ocean, I'm a dark ocean. You go to the depth of the ocean, it seems to be dark. So I'm deep in the ocean. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, vast one. Welling, rising, welling up, swelling up, rising up. Welling and swelling I bear in the tide. I carry myself through the tides to rise up from it. So she intends to leave behind all the effects of slavery, all the history of oppression, only with one intention, to rise above it. So she compares herself to the ocean. Just as an ocean is very wide, vast, full of power, without fearing anybody, keeps on moving on its own way, rising high. Similarly is she. She is So metaphor there, she is the black ocean, depth of the ocean or deep in the ocean, leaping and wide, welling up, swelling up. I carry myself in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear. So I have left behind. I am not going to recall those dark nights of my past. I leave behind all the terror, all the fear that had been inflicted or created in me due to the oppressions. Me. It's not my Anjulu herself. She here represents the whole black race, the whole women group. So she says she will leave behind everything, the terror and the fear that had been created in their minds, in their hearts due to painful tortures. All these things she will leave behind. And she will rise up. I'll rise up, and in doing so, what I'll do? Into a rise up where? Into a daybreak, as if a new morning will come to my life. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. Very, very clear. A bright morning that is very clear, that is having a very clear sky, having all the joyful wonders in my future life or the life ahead that I'm going to live. So she'll rise above every pain, all the fear, all the terror, and the oppression. She'll leave behind everything and she'll enter into a daybreak. She'll enter into a new morning, daybreak, which will be very clear. There's no darkness anymore. She'll enjoy or she'll enter into a new life, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I'm the dream and the hope of the slave. Bringing the gifts, I will rise with all the gifts that I have got from my ancestors. What are those gifts? The qualities, the virtues, the grace, the mannerisms, my attitude that I have inherited from my ancestors. I am, now what she says, I am the dream. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. For every slave, I stand as a hope. For every person or for every past enslaved people, I am the dream, I am the hope. I'll be in such a way that I will be their dream. Tankoro sopno. I'll be their dream, I'll be their hope, so that seeing me the next oppressed people, they will get that courage to rise up. So, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I embody, I stand as, I represent the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. So, her dignity and strength are the qualities that the society cannot touch, cannot break. These qualities she has inherited from her forefathers, from her ancestors, and so she is going to, with those qualities in her, she is going to stand as an embodiment of the dream and hope of the slaves, of the black people. So the poem ends with a declaration, in an affirmative note, that no matter what happens, whatever happens, she will continue to rise above history, above hatred, above bigotry. What is bigotry? Bigotism. What is that? Bigotism is when two people don't have the same sort of opinions sharing. They don't share the same opinions, just like her ancestors dreamed would be possible. She'll write, her ancestors had dreamt that one day will come when they will be free, they'll be out of all these things, they'll be out of torture, they will no more be tortured, they will get their freedom. All these were their dreams and hopes, and she represents those. She declares with an affirmative note that she stands as the dream and the hope for the past enslaved people. She will fulfill their dreams. She will fulfill their hopes. Hopes and dreams for what? For freedom, for happiness. So I rise, I rise, I rise. As I told you, it is the refrain of the poem which emphasizes her willpower, her determination to rise above everything that blocks her, that stops her, that bars her, that obstructs her in the path of progress. The complete poem I have explained to you. Hope you have understood it. Left part are the figures of speech. The three main figures of speech or literary devices used here: the simile, metaphor, and personification. Simile is a comparison between two things with the help of the word like or as. You will find examples, many comparisons are there, like dust I'll rise. I walk like I have got oil wells, just like moons and like suns, like hopes. Like I laugh like I have got gold mines. So all these are examples of simile. Then comes metaphor. Metaphor shows the comparison between two things where the word like or as is not used. It is directly said to be the thing. Just as you may shoot me with your words compared to bullets or the arrows which shoots. Cut me with your eyes, sharp glare, looks, cutting. The eyes are said to be as if it is a sharp knife which will cut. Hatefulness, killing. So hatefulness is said to be something which will take the life of a person. So these are the examples of metaphor. And then you can mention about personification. As I told you, history is shame. Personification is that any non-living thing or any abstract concept or idea given the human attributes is said to be personification. Thing is said to be personified. History is personified because history is feeling ashamed. This shame of history is the shame of American history, just as we human beings feel ashamed. So out of that history is shame. So history is not a person here to feel ashamed. But the attribute of feeling ashamed is given to history, which comes down as an example of personification. So these are the examples. Other examples are also there, which you will get if I prepare a note. I will give you in detail about all the figures of speech if it is required. But I think if the poem is understood, you can answer any question that is asked to you. And if you have not understood, please feel free, without fear, without hesitation. Please do ask me the doubt where you have not understood. Listen to the audio as many times as you can along with reading of your book, so that line by line, I think I have explained. Where you feel that I haven't explained, you can talk to me. And if you have understood, for that also I can expect one statement at least, yes ma'am or yes miss, I have understood, so that I'll be satisfied that I have reached up to your satisfactory level. Thank you for listening to me.